This is not a piece of land. It is the cradle of mankind and civilization itself. Here empires have risen, flourished, and vanished into the pages of history over the past many millenniums. This is the history of what we call today the Republic of India, and I am the desktop historian.
To justify the legitimacy of the colonial rule imposed on India by the British, a myth was perpetuated that India as a nation did not exist until the Englishmen arrived on her shores and gave this vast contiguous landmass a common identity. This narrative is also popular among certain political ideologies, as it lends weight to their own claim that Indians are a confederation of several subnational identities and not one single nation. However, as we hark back at the ancient historical accounts, we observe that not only there was a continuum of spiritual and cultural oneness, there also was a shared system of polity and jurisprudence among the inhabitants of this land. The Rigveda, the most ancient among all Indian texts, points to the existence of an institution of civil governance that was key to the structure of this ancient civilization, the Samiti. The Samiti was a representative assembly of people that performed functions spanning governance, justice dispensation, and even accreditation of scholars post the completion of their academic pursuits. The members included the leaders of towns and villages, as well as representatives from trade guilds. An Ishana or Pati led the sessions akin to a modern-day equivalent of a president. The Samiti had the power to elect a king or reinstate a banished king. This gives the Samiti a constitutional sovereign character quite unique to this age in history. The king was answerable to the Samiti and was expected to attend the sessions. This tradition, or rather constitutional dictum, is seen in active reference from the late Rigvedic texts to the much later Brahmana in Upanishadic texts. Presenting one's opinions masterfully and convincing the audience of the superiority of the rationale presented was a matter of great importance. The speaker prepared his statements after deep deliberations and wide considerations. There are several hymns in the Rigveda and the Attributions that are invoked to please the gods before presenting one's case in front of a Samiti. This is quite in contrast to the assemblies seen in Germanic tribes that only have the chieftain speaking and the audience merely acquiescing. The Samiti, on the other hand, was a place for nuanced debates and arguments. We find continuous reference to Samitis throughout the late Rigvedic to the Upanishadic era. The last references to Samitis are just before the Jatakas appear. This gives the Samiti an institutional life of more than 1,000 years. Apart from the Rigveda, the Taittiriya Samhita, the Paraskara Griya Samhita, and the Chandogya Upanishad carry multiple references to the Samiti and its functions. Samitis lose their preeminence with the rise of the imperial system, but reappear in the form of the Janapada Paura system of governance. As the Atharvaveda says, the Samitis were arguably the first institutions where people of the land found equal representation, enfranchisement, and the power of self-governance.